I'm going to show you an old tutorial where I painted with oil paints over acrylic paint. This tutorial has a brief demonstration on the tones and ways that I work with different sort of mid-range colors to create white fur. My name is Carla Grace. I am a full-time wildlife artist and I run a tutorial platform where I teach my whole process. This particular tutorial is a rather old one that I filmed many years ago, and I didn't have the gear that I have today for my tutorials, so it's been sitting in the archives and feels rather neglected, so I decided that I would share it with you on my tutorial platform so that hopefully someone can get something useful from it. I demonstrate using oil paint over acrylic, how to paint white tones in a way that creates a vibrancy to them, using multiple different mid-range colors, a simple palette, and also, of course, how to paint thick, fluffy fur. This particular video covers a small section of my painting in a tiger portrait. So I hope you enjoy it, and I will see you at the end of the video. I'm going to set my palette up with a basic tan tone combination, which I usually use, only with the addition of cadmium orange, alizarin crimson, and ultramarine blue. So I've added burnt sienna and burnt umber, raw sienna light as well, yellow ochre. I'm going to put ivory black right in the corner. It has proven to be quite a useful color to use in these natural tones. I'm going to put the ultramarine blue and the alizarin crimson on the other side of the palette. As far as mediums go, I won't be using mediums in the beginning because the thicker the paint is on the first few layers, the easier it will be to layer on top of. If you dilute the paint too much for the initial layers, it makes the following tones that you add too slippery to work on and therefore hard to layer. My last color here is titanium white, and now I'm ready to go. For the purpose of this tutorial, I'm only going to focus on this small area here. So we're going to be able to build on the layers quite quickly, and it will also shorten the duration of this tutorial. So let's settle back and get ready for the next layer already. At this stage, I believe I'm going to bring in some more darker tones along this edge of the black stripe. So I'm just going to use my brush. I'm not going to use my palette knife, and I'm just going to grab a little bit of burnt sienna to see how this will play off, adding it to this edge here. So I'm going to be very specific about where I'm putting it. I'm also going to allow the movement of the brush to show the direction of the hair. Once you see here, it's grabbing quite a lot of the light tones from the mixture that we added. So I'm going to just use my paper towel, dab it off, and grab a tiny little bit more burnt umber, and then the dark tones are back. So we'll do this quite regularly and frequently to make sure we're not muddying the colors of the burnt umber. The reason why I didn't add the burnt umber first before adding those lighter tones is because it's a layer that needs to go on top of those light white tones. Just simply what we can see in the reference photo. I'm not going to leave my brushwork to be straight lines side by side here. I am going to overlap them and create almost a messy look because nothing in nature is super perfect. The moment you start to paint hairs as perfect lines, you lose that element of reality. So don't be too worried about perfection. Let it be loose. Go with whatever angle works best because you'll be overlapping many more to come. And the more layers you add, the deeper the fur will appear. You'll notice that I'm not worried about the sharpness of these lines. The edge of this bright brush will actually give me quite a lot of definition to the individual strokes of hairs. You don't have to use a tiny, minute brush to create the hairs at every stage of the painting. I'll use the more defined single hair brush if necessary right at the end and only for a few details. All right, now I'm going to bring in a few darker tones throughout the rest of this massive fur. To do that, I'm going to use my raw umber and Payne's Grey. I'm just going to use my brush to mix it, and then I will add it to the area in a blurred kind of way, just to create shadow among the darker sections here. Because that first layer of mid-tone wasn't a thick application, I'm able to do this quite freely. So I need to emphasize that every application that we do at this stage of the painting needs to be very thin. Do not overload your brush with paint. This is also serving to blend that burnt umber tone into the rest of this fur, which is quite lovely actually. It's creating quite a natural blend. I'm going to bring in some of that ivory black now because it is better to work dark to light with oil paint, which I have found to be true to myself as I work. It's really hard to add dark tones on top of light because the light pigments are larger and so they tend to dominate the darker tones. I'm going to add quite a lot of ivory black to this black stripe in this area so that we can bring those darker wisps of hair into the layers. To get more randomness to the strokes of fur, I'm going to move my hand further down the brush and also change the angle that I'm holding it. So originally I was holding it on top and moving the brush down with my brush stroke, but now I'm going to hold it from the bottom and push it up in a smiley face angle. Oftentimes a lot of artists will flip the painting around so that the natural angle that they hold their brush is consistent throughout the painting. I have trained myself to be able to paint any angle with the direction that I hold the brush. This is just simply because when I'm filming a tutorial, it is really difficult to edit footage that is upside down. So I keep it the same throughout. It's really important when you're working with dark tones, if you don't want to blend those lighter tones that you added previously, you've got to work from the darker areas and push it into the lighter tones. So you can see that I'm really flicking this brush as I push it into the white tones that we added earlier, because that is creating a bit of a more natural end to the brush stroke when it comes to the fur. In some areas I won't go all the way into the white tones that we added previously. I'm going to just blend it as close as possible. This is just so that I can keep my black as pure as possible for the rest of this black stripe. You can see that I'm really keeping to my rule of making sure this initial layer is thin. There's hardly any tone added to this panel. I'm spreading it out as much as I can while still getting the coverage. That is enough black for now, just so that I can finish this section of white for the duration of this tutorial. I am going to clean my brush now because this black tone is going to be too strong and I won't be able to mix any related colors with this brush if I leave it there. So I'm using some white artist spirits in a solvent cup that has a little lip on the side here that is allowing me to gently stroke the paint off the brush. So I'm using my paper towel quite regularly throughout this part of the process rather than scrubbing the bristles too hard into the cup. Now we can move on to a slightly lighter version of this mid-tone. I am going to wipe off my palette knife and I'm going to borrow a portion here and move it to the side. Add a little bit more titanium white and a little bit more raw sienna. There is now very little Payne's grey in this mixture, moving slowly more and more towards a warmer light tone to use. I won't add any medium yet. I'm going to see how well this carries onto the surface of the painting. So use a tiny little bit, don't overload your brush, and let's see how it looks. It's a very gentle colour. I won't put this lighter mid-tone too close to the dark edge that we created with the burnt umber. I'm just using it as a blending tool for the lighter tones and as a way to overlap here where it gets to the black marking on the side. You can see as my brush flicks out over that black stripe, I'm going to clean off those black tones each time because when I go back to make another mark with it, it will carry that black tone. So I'll show you that right now. So it's gone over and then as soon as I go back in, you see that it's got that black tone to it. So when you wipe off that little flick of paint, you're able to clear that away. The direction of this fur is starting to point down. So up to this point, my brushwork has been very straight. And now with the top layers, I need to start adding a little bit more of a curve to the lines. That can be quite hard to do with a bright brush. So I'm going to switch over to a brush that is hopefully going to enable me to do longer lines with more of a curve. I've seen a lot of artists use dagger liners, so I'm going to give that a go for this to let you know how it works for the way I like to use my brush and how it looks on the painting. This is a new brush, so I had to get rid of the binder on the bristles that kept it straight. And I am going to add a little bit of the white spirits to this lighter paint mixture. And actually a little bit more titanium white, just to get it to punch a little bit more out from the other layers. The more fluid this paint is, the easier the lines will show up on the painting, but then we won't be able to layer anything on top of it. So if we wanted to use more of this tone now, we're going to have to let it dry overnight to become touch dry. You see the difference now that it is a lighter tone in terms of viscosity, how much it stands out on top of the previously thicker layers of paint. I'm finding this sword liner to be really hard to control, and I don't know if it's because the bristles aren't really listening to me, so I'm going to switch over to a brush that I know a bit better and perhaps come back to using the sword liner later on in the layering process. My go-to brush for controlling hairs and the directions that they fall in is my round size 0. As you can tell, I'm very comfortable with this brush. If you like the look of applying single hairs at a time, then this is a great approach for you to use. A thinner mixture of the paint, and you apply it with such a small brush, but you start doing it from very early on in the layering process so that every layer that you've added is an addition of single hairs. I prefer to add a broader application of paint and refine the details the closer I get to the final layers, just because it gives a softer look of the fur. Nothing's as bristly, so showing the individual hairs works really well for certain fur types, but if you wanted to make it look thick and matted and deliciously soft, like in a mane or in thick patches of fur like this one that we're creating, using the broader to smaller application of detail works quite well. So because these lines don't blend into this darker area too well, I'm going to come in again with the brush with no paint on it and make sure that I regularly remove the paint that I pick up as I work with a paper towel. That will just help to blend it in and create that softer shadow effect that we see here. You can of course use a bigger brush such as a fan or a mop to do this all in one go. You'll have less control though over those marks that you make with those bigger brushes. So this just gives me really great control, and I'm able to bring those darker lines in as well. So I'm able to work with different tones as well as still with the initial layer that I was working on. You do need to be careful though, because if you notice that the tones that you're rubbing off with the paper towel just aren't going away, you then need to rinse the brush off in your solvent cup. Some people do use linseed oil for that stage instead of solvent, because solvent is very harsh on bristles and can make them go really stiff quite quickly, whereas using linseed oil to clean off these mid-painting brushes is better for your brush. It is, however, a more expensive solution. So it all comes down to personal preference. For the final few layers of detail, obviously there isn't a lot of depth there right now, so it is going to involve me coming back when the painting is a little drier so that I can add another glaze and then do this process again. However, for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm just going to show you the power of adding a cool tone as a highlight over the top of warm base when it comes to white tones. This is something that I've been talking about quite regularly in all my white painting tutorials, and I'm hoping to demonstrate it again for you so that you can see it in action. I've used ultramarine, titanium white, and a tiny little bit of the mid-tone that we were just using. I am going to thin it down a little bit with a tiny bit of the solvent. Usually I'd prefer to use a medium rather than a solvent, but because I'm not adding a lot of it, I'm okay with doing that. If you need to add more than 30% dilution to your paint, then you'll need to use a medium rather than a solvent. simply because it doesn't maintain the integrity of the binders in the paint. So it creates too much movement between your pigments and lowers the archival nature of your paint. Now I'm wiping off a lot of the excess paint that I'm picking up here just with my paper towel so that the paint that is on my brush is easy to control. And let's see how it looks. There you go, it's lovely. And see how that immediately, that cooler layer creates this dynamic brightness to the paint as we work it into the previous layers of paint. There's an unevenness to the way it falls onto this layer because of the fluidity of the layers we added previously. So if you had a thicker base to work from, it wouldn't create these streaks. However, you can use these streaks to your advantage because hairs obviously don't have a lot of structure to them. So having the inconsistency in the brightness of the paint that you're applying can serve to give you extra highlight where you previously might not have had any. Don't worry about the lack of blending when it comes to this light tone that I'm adding now and the dark tones around the stripe, because that's what we're going to blend in the next phase of the painting. Right now, I'm just interested in adding this highlight to where I can see it in this part of the fur. If you find that your hand is really unsteady at this stage, you can use a marl stick or just a pole with a bracket on the end of it to hold onto the edge of the painting to create that stability. This is especially true if you've got a lot of wet layers over the entire painting. For me, luckily, I only have wet oil paint right in this section that I'm working on. The rest is acrylic and so is dry, and I can rest my hand on it for stability. If you don't have this luxury to work with, then I highly recommend using a pole to create that. Often with highlights, the brighter tones are only on a small portion of the fur. So you don't need to create long strokes. Only areas you're really going to need that is in the whiskers. So I'm just focusing on putting these lighter cool tones on what I would consider to be a small portion of the fur. As I add more and more of them, it will create depth and texture that will imply thickness to this section of the fur. Alright, so how do we blend this area here where I've added the lighter tones into the area we previously did with the darker tones? Simply put, you just use a dry brush that is soft, that has even bristles, and that allows you to drag from dark to light, or if you're in a situation where you need the vice versa. So this is my mop. It is a Carla top mop, 3/4 inch, and it is dry. So I am going to really lightly, using the side of the brush, hold it over like as gentle as possible and drag it in just like that. And the same with this side. You can flip it over if you have clean sides as an option and do it like that. So now I have used both sides of the mop and I'm gonna just dab it off and come to this side where I haven't blended it. There you go, as simple as that. So this would be what I consider the first application of oil paint, and it will need further glazing and further dynamic fur marks added to it. For now, I won't add any more layers to it. Knowing when to stop is just as important as knowing what to do. Well, I hope that video was a little bit helpful. I'm glad that someone got to see it rather than having it sit in the archives unwatched. And if you would like to see more of these videos, obviously my more updated tutorials, then please head over to my tutorial platform. The link is in the description. And if you have any questions or comments, please pop them in the comment box and I will reply to you. And thank you for being here. Like, comment, and share if you'd like to see more tutorials like this. We'll see you in the next one.